And good morning, and thank you for being here for the Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting for Tuesday, November 19th. First, I'd like to welcome all of our new commissioners, Commissioner Feltz, Commissioner McCann, and Commissioner Sadiq. Thank you for being here. Congratulations and/or condolences, however you look at it. But what do we do right now is we have we're going to recess. I'm going to gavel recess, and we'll return at 1:30 this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States
and the state of Florida,
and the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
of Manatee County Commissioner, District 3,
of Manatee County Commissioner, District 3,
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Manatee County Commissioner, District 5, Robert Bob McCann.
Good morning. Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United
the
States
Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and that I am duly qualified to hold office
and that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
of Manatee County Commissioner, District 5,
of Manatee County Commissioner, District 5,
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
And last but not least, Manatee County Commissioner, District 7 at large, George W. Cruz.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States.
the Constitution of the United... I forgot what you said.
The Constitution, the Constitution and government of the United
The
States
Constitution and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties
of Manatee County Commissioner, District 7 at large,
of Manatee County Commissioner, District 7 at large,
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
Thank you, everyone. This does conclude our swearing-in ceremony. Please join me in congratulating Commissioners Feltz, Sadiq, McCann, and Cruz as they commence this term of serving on the Board of Manatee County Commissioners.
And good afternoon and welcome back from our recess. Again, we are in the land use meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, November 19, 2024. It's another great day here in Manatee County. It's actually beautiful outside. And as we always do at the beginning of all of our meetings is that we pray to our God and pledge to our country. So today we have Pastor Mark Gibbons from Mill Creek Baptist Church. We'll do an invocation. And for our pledge day is Commissioner Tal Sadiq. So if everyone please rise.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. And Father, we thank you for your love. And God, I thank you for our leaders today. And God, I pray and I ask, God, that they would seek your will and that they would serve you and serve the constituency that they serve. Father, I pray that you would give them wisdom and surround them with godly counsel. God, I ask that you would help them to stand courageously in the face of evil, resisting temptations of power, corruption, flattery, bribery, and upholding righteousness and justice. God, we pray all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Knapp, have there been any changes to the agenda?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. There have been no additional updates since late yesterday afternoon.
All right, thank you, ma'am. At this point, we also have a Port Authority meeting today, so at this point, I will gavel out the Board of County Commissioners, and Commissioner Bearden will take over as Port Chair. You want the gavel?
Welcome to the Manatee County Port Authority meeting on November 19th, 2024. Right now, we will go ahead and do public comment on consent or on future agenda items as well as consent agenda. Do we have any public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Commissioners, do we have any items that we need to pull at this time? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and I'll entertain motions to approve consent. So we have a motion by Chairman Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick Scribner's error on item 3D. The total contract amount should read $2,123,369.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So we have a motion by Chairman Ron. We have a second by Commissioner Ballard. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously. Moving on to the next item. Executive Director comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We have the results for last year, the past 12 months, of the economic impact, and there's a copy of it on in front of you, that the port has had on the local and regional economy. And if I could just give you some of the highlights. The port has realized a 41.7% increase from 22 to today to $7.3 billion in economic impact. Huge impact. The port supported 42,094 jobs, direct and indirect. That's an increase of 12.9%. The port generated $275 million in state and local taxes. The fiscal 5-year end numbers, the fiscal numbers, tonnage was up by 7.2% from fiscal 23 on cargo, again a record, to 11.8 million tons. The TEUs moved, containers moved, represented 160,897 containers, again 1% increase. The fuel, we received 375 million gallons of fuel that we use every day, which results in a 7% increase. We're driving more. And the orange juice, again, 180 161 million gallons, which represents a 132% increase. So the numbers are looking fantastic. The revenue is looking really good. We'll have more details for you at the next meeting, but I wanted to thank you for being able to accommodate us at this meeting instead of the regular Port Authority meeting.
Thank you, Carlos, and I've said this time and time again, you've done a heck of a job, you and your team. I mean, you don't even really need us to help you make decisions. You have made every right decision and have brought that port to where it's at today. And I can't thank you enough, and this county can't thank you enough for the job that you're doing. At this time, do I have any other commissioner comments?
I just have one. Have we increased in bananas?
Yes. Likely, yes. We haven't counted them yet, but as we're speaking here, about 2.2 million bananas a day are going through the port, and we're not eating them. You're not eating 2.2 million. So it's going right to the supermarkets and to the residents of Manatee, Sarasota, Hillsborough, all the way down to Collier County. So the port has a much greater impact than just Manatee County. You're serving communities south of us and east of us and even north of us. So you can never understate how important this port, your port, is to the region. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, do I have any other comments at this time? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
And we're back. And we're back. Thank you, Mr. Bearden. Now we're going to move on to some of the fun stuff we got to do, awards, presentations, and proclamations. And we have one presentation today, and it's for the presentation of November Employee of the Month, Brianna Anderson. So, Jim, Director Fisk, you bringing the whole team down? I had the honor of being able to be there when she got her award, and she'd just come off night shift and was ready to go home.
So, Jody Fisk, Director of Public Safety. I'm going to keep my comments brief. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. But when recognizing Brianna, you know, as a 911 dispatcher, they don't have enough work to do. You're going to hear that she is consistently and constantly looking for ways to improve not just training, but morale, assist her fellow dispatchers in her role. Your mommy's awesome, right? So I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Crutchfield.
Good morning, Commissioners. James Crutchfield, Deputy Director of Public Safety. It is really exciting that we get to celebrate your inaugural meeting with our first responder. Our dispatchers do an amazing job, and Brianna is definitely not an exception. She was nominated by her peers, which is also even pretty impressive. Since her nomination, she's been promoted, so she's now a captain inside the dispatch center. She does take her job incredibly serious. She comes in on her time off, makes sure that the floor staff and the other telecommunicators in the 911 center are getting the training they need, and make sure that they have all the resources to do the job most efficiently. Thank you for the opportunity to allow us to recognize our county's first responders. Awesome job. So I would just say on behalf of commissioners and the county administrator, here's a plaque, and I know that Administrator Bishop shared with you all the other perks that come with it, so just thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I love what I do, and I really appreciate this.
Thank you. We appreciate you do what you do. You know, but Brianna, you've done a great job. I mean, you really do. I mean, and your peers say that. I mean, I believe that our 911 operators should be considered first responders, because you guys are on the front line. You get the first calls. And you're not running into a burning building or taking shots from a criminal, but you guys do have to deal with a lot, and you deserve this today. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
And keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
Is it? Oh, Commissioner Ballard.
Brianna, thank you so much for everything that you do, for being that voice of calm and getting people the help that they need when they're in those really kind of desperate situations. I'm sure that it is a tough task at many, many times. And I'm sure that it also makes you, like that being that voice of calm, I'm sure it also makes you a really great mom with those sweet little girls. So thank you so much, and we appreciate you.
Thank you again. Thank you, Deputy Director Crutchfield. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for everything you guys do in public safety. Thank you. All right, we're going to be moving on. Next part of the agenda is citizen comment. This is for citizen comment on any future agenda item, not what's on the agenda today. It's a 30-minute time limit, so I want to open it up right now for public comment. Is there anyone who has public comment on a future agenda item in the audience? Please come forward, state your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. Yes, sir. Mr. McClash. Good morning. Good afternoon, sir.
Manatee County is my residence. I just want to thank the new commissioners, as well as Commissioner Cruz, for running for office and willingness to serve this community. Your victory shines a light of hope that this commission will turn the page on a very dark chapter of governance that we've had here in this county. It is my hope that we return to a government that respects its citizens, their input, and makes decisions for the best interest of the public. Serving as a county commissioner for 22 years, I know these challenges that you're going to face. I do have 2 requests as far as this afternoon was going to be this morning. One is to instruct your staff to immediately set the hearing dates to change the wetland policies back to where they were. I know you took some action to allow the county attorney's office to review and all this stuff. There is no liability for the county to set a hearing date. It's going to be about a 3-month process by the time you have your public hearing with the planning commission, transmittal, goes to, review, back, and then anybody that has concerns could get flushed out in the meantime. But I think it's very important that we set those hearing dates. The second request is I do have the issues of fees that this board has discussed. And my preference would be for the board to consider approving one of the 2 motions that would be in front of you. One would be waiving all the fees, which was a motion that was put forward in the past. The second motion is a compromise to allow me to pay part of the fees based on what you've been doing for code enforcement liens. When I did some research, code enforcement liens, you're averaging about 1% of what the liens are. These are actual liens on people's properties. So if a board member feels like they must extract some money from me, I'm willing to pay the $1,960 as a compromise if you feel like waiving the fees totally is not proper. I think it's consistent with the board's and a precedent that the board has established with code enforcement liens. I think the challenge was more than warranted, especially in light of the action that you're taking to restore what my challenge was about. And I think it's also not something that the statute that was put in place in 2023 is mandatory. It should never have been put in place because I feel strongly that's against the Constitution to not allow a citizen to have redress to their government. It's very important. I'd also just enter this into the record. I sent you an email with my comments associated with a letter that was sent to the board that contains some not so factual items.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I see that Dr. Abby had signed up, but I don't know if she's here. I do not see her here. All right. Is there anyone on the phone that would like to give public comment?
We have 3 callers on the line. First one is ending in 445.
Caller 445, if you would, please state your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes. Caller 445.
For the record, Glenn Gibolina. It was a very festive morning. I really appreciated the swearing in. And then it wasn't. So I am sitting here with the agenda. It says 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I'm certain 10 a.m. Now, if you were going to gavel that out, then maybe you should have told the public about 9:30 when everybody was done kibitzing around that, hey, there's some problems, we're going to gavel out to 1:30. But no, you let us sit around and wait thinking we're going to go into that 10 o'clock meeting and you gavel out without any explanations to the public and the people that are waiting there to speak. That is very disrespectful. No explanation. No, hey, we're having problems. Just gavel out. And you people that hung around that wanted to speak at 10, go take a hike. Come back at 1:30. Like, we got nothing better to do than drive home, sit around for a couple hours, and come back at 1:30 because you felt like moving the meeting, a public notice meeting, no less. I'm certain 10 o'clock, and at the whim of the chair, you just want to gavel out to 1:30. I feel disrespected. I don't appreciate it, and let's hope it doesn't happen again. The second item I would bring up is and I agree with Joe McClash, those fines should be waived. You know, you paid $135,000 for Reinhardt for hush money out of taxpayers' money. You have no problem taking that money, but now you want to try to collect $200,000 from McClash. Really, lawfare is the word of the day if that's going to continue. The third item I want to bring up is the animal shelter out at the port, right? That thing should have been done months ago. I wrote the CEO of Horizon, and I said, you know, what's going on? Justin Zook and his company got back with me. Now, I haven't gotten all the emails back yet, but it is nothing to pull a slab out there. It takes 4 months to build those shelters, and by the time they were built, the slab would have been hardened enough to put those shelters on. You're still lollygagging with that, and you need to move that along ASAP. As far as Bishop, I did a records request on that as well with the architect, because that should have been moving along from what I've YouTube that I've been seeing. So for the record, Len, Gadsby, Jabalina, appreciate all the new commissioners and the returning commissioners. Let's move forward in a more positive way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next caller on the phone.
Next caller ends in 454.
Caller 5454, please state your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, this is Charlene Gow, Charlene, last name Kow, Manatee County. I just want to say this is a really great birthday gift because today is my birthday, and to see a brand new board here that we've just voted in and some folks that I know personally and everyone, I'm just really pleased to have the new board in place, and I'm looking forward to some progress in the future and hopefully undoing some of the bad things that have happened in the last few years. But I want to reiterate the point from Mr. McClash to either settle or dismiss the claims for the attorney's fees because they're really outrageous and rather ridiculous in size. A reasonable number, and he's got one out there. I'm sure he can negotiate something, get it done, please. Thank you. The second thing that I want to bring up is the Lena Road property. I'm seeing how we've had not one, not two, but 3 really disastrous hurricanes come through this summer, and just an incredible amount of debris that we've had to take up in just this year alone. I would like to understand what you're really planning to do with it, since you have that land right there next to the landfill. You know, you can still use it for landfill expansion. You know, you don't have to surplus it and sell it off to someone else. And, you know, considering that we may actually have more devastating storms like this, I'm sure this year probably took a year or so off of our landfill's life with the amount of debris that we've had to deal with. So I'm hoping to hear something positive in the future about the Lena Road property so that we can do something smart for our landfill. Third thing is the independent investigation that we were asking for after Hurricane Debbie. We'd like to get an update on that and see what is happening with that. When can we expect a written report and to get an idea of what exactly was done. That way we can have some more transparency. A lot of folks campaigned on transparency. Let's have some transparency. And the last thing I want to say is, please stop putting stuff in the land use meetings that really don't belong in land use. Now, I'm not really, I don't really object in principle to settling lawsuits and stuff, but doesn't that belong in the general meetings, the regular meetings, not in a land use meeting for, especially in the consent agenda? Like, this is not a land use issue. These things should be land associated. Not a personal injury lawsuit or the county administrator's emergency pay that nobody really understands and we didn't even have a discussion about. So those are my issues. Thank you very much, and I hope to have some redress for these things later on. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next caller on the line, please.
Next caller ends in 443.
Caller 443, please state your name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. This is Dr. Abby Turna from Suncoast Waterkeeper. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today, but on behalf of Suncoast Waterkeeper and the water quality advocates in our community, I wanted to congratulate the new commissioners on being sworn in today. My county of residence is Sarasota County, but as Suncoast Waterkeeper Executive Director and Waterkeeper, I represent constituents in both Manatee and Sarasota counties. I know today is the first day on the job, but we are requesting 2 important items to be acted upon. And the first one is that we ask that you direct staff to schedule the public hearings on restoring the original language of the comprehensive plan that maintains the 50-foot buffer around wetlands and waterways. Your leadership on this issue reflects your commitment to protecting our county's vital ecosystems and ensuring that development occurs in a way that respects the natural environment. Your recognition of the importance of wetlands is greatly appreciated. Manatee County voters care deeply about the health of our wetlands, as you know, and your leadership in directing staff to begin the public hearing process demonstrates your responsiveness to the will of Manatee County residents. This is a critical first step toward ensuring the future of these environmentally sensitive areas. Not only are vitally important for flood control and wildlife habitat services, but also important to the residents of Manatee County. With this commendable first step, I respectfully request that you, secondly, suspend the efforts to penalize former Commissioner Joe McClash for his legal challenge to maintain the 50-foot buffer, pursuing attorney's fees from Mr. McClash, particularly when he voluntarily dismissed this case, and considering the decision to reverse the decision Mr. McClash originally challenged, seems contrary to the spirit of fairness and open dialogue that we hope to maintain in Manatee County. As Commissioner Cruz rightly noted, just because the state gives you the authority to seek fees does not mean that you're obligated to do so. So with those 2 requests, we trust that you will continue to prioritize our environment and community's health, fairness, and transparency. Welcome, new commissioners. Suncoast Waterkeeper stands ready to support your efforts as this process moves forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other callers online?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that come forward and give public comment? Sir, state your name, county residence, you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Tim Mays, Manatee County. I'd like to say that during the primary here this past summer, the voters gave our new commissioners here a clear mandate, and also in the general election once again. So since there was no mandate for a lot of things that happened since the primary and the general election, I'd like to see a lot of this stuff revisited. I don't think it was right the way a lot of this stuff was pushed through in the end, and I'd like to see what we can do to turn some of this stuff back. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else like to come forward? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Next up is public comment on consent agenda items only. Would anyone like to come forward and give a public comment on consent only? Oh, you were? Okay. Well, yeah, unless it went up, went down. Okay, Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it is time that we put this to rest regarding Mr. McClash here, so I'd like to have a discussion at this time. to see where our board is currently at regarding this particular matter. We did vote to return the wetlands back, so I'd like to have some open dialogue, or if anybody would like to chime in and have this conversation at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I've been in favor of getting rid of them in the first place, and Commissioner Beard made the motion last time for discussion purposes relative to the wetlands. I think that shows the direction this board is going. To penalize somebody for coming after the county for something that the county itself is saying, hey, we need to reverse is disingenuous, and I don't agree with just going after citizens. I think they should have a right to come after their government if they feel their government is overstepping, and this is a case where it is, and we're trying to take it out away from them. So if Commissioner Beard makes a motion to do something about those fees, I will happily second that motion.
Can you go on the board?
There we go. It said request to speak there. Awesome. I would like to hear from our county attorney as to what our options are for moving forward on that. I've seen some documents from outside counsel on their recommendations and thoughts. We obviously haven't had that meeting to discuss it, but just like to get your opinion on that before I vote on anything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Siddiq, respectfully, the county attorney's office would prefer to have an opportunity to brief the incoming board members as to all the aspects of the case and answer all their questions individually before the board entertains any motion on this subject.
I'm on the board. You know, I just don't see a public purpose in waiving fees, attorney's fees. Our office, the county attorney's office goes out there and does a lot of hard work. They go out, the case is won or dismissed, and now this case is coming up before the judge here shortly on exactly what the fees are going to be. I think we let the judge do their work, and at that point, if there wants to be negotiation between Mr. McClash and the county attorney's office for what those fees are, I think they can have that opportunity. But I think we do have a fiduciary responsibility that if we're sued and we prevail, that we have the opportunity to collect our fees. And then if there's a negotiated settlement, then there's a negotiated settlement, and that would come back before this board. But that's just the way I feel. I see there's no public purpose. There's no paramount public purpose to just waive fees. I think it sets a bad precedence out there in the community that we're just going to waive fees on anything that, you know, that we think someone's being done wrong on. I don't think we're being done wrong here. So that's just my opinion. I'm sure Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Beard have an opposing opinion, but that's just my opinion. Commissioner Cruz, you're back on the board.
I think looking out for the best interest of the public and fiduciary responsibility should have been discussed at the time of the wetland decision, not at the time of going after a citizen. I don't think that decision was in the public's best interest, nor were we acting as fiduciaries for the public at large in that decision. I understand what you're saying, but I just disagree with it. That said, the reason I put myself on the board was for the county attorney. Are there any upcoming hearings or anything of which where we or the defendant, whoever you want to call Joe in this case, are going to expend any money or any time between now and our next board meeting? Are we kind of just in a holding pattern trying to figure out what's going on?
Commissioner Cruz, I would ask Deputy County Attorney Chris DiCarlo to come down and speak to that. I know there was a hearing on Thursday of last week. I was not able to be briefed yet as to what happened at that hearing, so I'm not sure what decisions were made or where we are from a procedural standpoint. But I think he has those answers if you want to hear that.
Understood. I'm just saying because you said you'd like to brief the commissioner, and I can appreciate that. There's 3 new commissioners that, while this was very public, so they're somewhat informed of what's going on, if the decision is, hey, it's 3 weeks away, no one's going to spend another penny, no harm, no foul, let's have this discussion on December 10th, great. If it's we're going to have another hearing, everyone's going to spend thousands more dollars of taxpayer money, then we need to consider whether or not that's best use of additional funds.
And I think Mr. DiCarlo can answer those questions better than I can.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, again, Deputy County Attorney Christopher DiCarlo. The direct answer to your question, Commissioner Cruz, is that there is no current hearing that is scheduled between now and the time that we have briefings with the board. The board's briefings on this matter are scheduled for
the early and mid part of December. The hearing that we had last week was a status conference set by the administrative law judge. And at that point in time, there was a request by our office to go ahead and reschedule the fee hearing. There was a request by Mr. McClash to have the county enter into a dismissal of the claim. At this point, the court has directed us to convene and agree among the parties as to the rescheduling of that hearing. And if I were to hazard a guess for you, the earliest that would occur would be in February of next year. If there's any other questions the board has, I'm happy to address those. Thank you.
Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And, you know, listening to Commissioner Cruz and Chairman Ron, you know, we sat here, all of us that's currently on this board right now, we voted. It was an unanimous vote to go back and to bring them back. Okay? So now, if that's the case, and you're so hard line on this, Chairman Ron, why did you vote in favor to bring back the wetland buffers?
The reason I voted that, to give the county attorney's office the opportunity to review Senate Bill 250, which, if you are familiar with Senate Bill 250, states that you cannot create anything or roll back anything that's burdensome. So the county attorney's office is reviewing that. I was in favor of letting the county attorney review those type of statutes to see where the county would stand at that time. So if I voted against it, it would not have given the county attorney's office an opportunity to go back and review those statutes that were voted on about 2 sessions ago. That could have impact our ability to roll back anything that would consider more burdensome to development in Manatee County or any county in the state of Florida. I don't know the exact statute number, but it is Senate Bill 250. So that's the reason that I thought that would be okay to let the county attorney's office review those type of things before we did anything and find out if it's going to cost us more money to have new studies done, all that type of stuff, to why we should roll back to 50 feet or whatever that number is, that 50-foot number or buffer, or where that was at. So that's the reason I voted to do that.
Okay, but the board at the time was in favor to roll back to the original buffer.
No, we instructed the county, we instructed staff to review the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, but we know how that's not what it was. We know what the outcome's going to be on this particular board moving forward. Therefore, I hereby make this motion for the Board of County Commissioners to instruct the county attorney to voluntarily dismiss any and all claims, including the pending attorney fee claim with prejudice against Joseph McClash in the matter of Joseph McClash, petitioner versus Manatee County, Florida, case number 242050F.
Okay. All right, we have commissioners. There's been a motion by Commissioner Beard. It's been seconded by Commissioner Cruz. We do have commissioners on the board. Commissioner Ballard.
So I would like our new commissioners to have the opportunity to be fully briefed on the matter before they're forced into a vote. Now, I'm not going to speak for our new commissioners. If they'd like to vote today, they're welcome to do so, but I would like to give them that opportunity. So I guess let's hear from our new commissioners on whether they'd like to make that vote today or whether they'd like to be fully briefed.
Commissioner Sadiq. Press hard on it. There you go, you're ready.
All right. I'll just get a gavel and use it on this thing. Okay, so I've been following this issue outside of the board. I've received one email, and again, I'm not blaming the county attorney for that. I've just gotten the one email, and she couldn't talk to us until we were in. I see two challenges here. One, we have not yet as a board, this board or a previous board, made a policy decision, which is the underlying issue, more than likely related to the legal, well, obviously related to Mr. McClash's case about the wetland buffers. So I don't feel comfortable necessarily settling until we've actually made a policy decision, so I would like to see staff actually have that work session, have that discussion. I'd like to see the buffers back, that's just putting that out there, but we also haven't made the policy decision. That is what this board is responsible for. As far as the legal issue is concerned, I would like to obviously get our county attorney's perspective on that, and that would just be a private briefing. Maybe we can have one in a meeting. but we're not there yet. So I'd just like to see that briefing, especially for the new commissioners. All of us really, I think, would benefit from your legal opinion and not just one email. So I would just like to see that at some point. And not that I'm saying you haven't done it, I'd just like to see that next. But I respect the positions of Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Bearden. I don't think this is the right approach to do it, but I just want to make sure we follow the right process to getting us through this particular issue. I also respect Chairman Ron's position that we do need to be cautious about this. We do have a fiduciary responsibility based on the legal documents I have seen to not issue or, well, one, I think we're overstepping our bounds on a legal issue. This is, I think, should be in the attorney's court to make the legal determination. Our focus should be on the policy of wetlands. But in any event, I don't want this board to overstep our bounds, one. And two, I do think we have to be mindful of the legal scenarios we put this board forces our county government to go through. So all that to say, I'm urging a little bit of caution. Let's slow our roll just a little bit, make sure we have the right policy workshop sessions in place to make sure we do get those buffers pushed back, and then find an amenable legal position after we're all appropriately briefed to make that motion. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Feltz.
Push it harder.
Yeah, push it hard. There you go.
There you go.
You're up.
I appreciate the, am I holding? I appreciate the consideration of taking this further and making sure we're legally briefed, all of those kind of things. But as for myself personally, I feel quite competent in my knowledge of how this came about, what it ensues, and I would support Commissioner Bearden's motion that we bring this to a close and focus on getting that policy changed.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner McCann.
I'm prepared to vote today on this. I feel comfortable legally that we are not overstepping our bounds. I think that at this time, we as a board can consider this. I've seen the email that we had. That email that we had was from an outside law firm. That was not from a county attorney. The county attorney didn't opine on this, and right now what I'm saying is I feel comfortable to vote, so I would like to call the vote today.
All right, the question's been called. Are you calling the question?
Yes.
Okay. We need to vote to call the question. We have a motion to call the question. Dr. McCann, just make it. Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Bearden, second, calling the question. Madam Attorney, do you have anything? I thought you raised your hand. Okay. All right, all those in favor of calling the question, this is a verbal vote, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now, calling the question, ma'am? Unanimous.
I think it was unanimous.
It was unanimous. Yep. All right. All right. Now, moving on to the motion. The motion was moved by Commissioner Bearden, seconded by Commissioner Cruz. The motion as read by Commissioner Bearden. If everyone would cast their votes at this. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, we need to open public comment. Is there anyone in the audience like to come forward and give public comment?
I just want to thank the board for considering, Joe McClash, previous county commissioner, Manatee County resident. I just wanted to thank the board for trying to resolve this today. There are costs that are going to start accumulating very quickly because county attorney has instructed the Tampa attorney that they hired to set a public fee hearing in February. To do that, it's going to cost a lot of money for discovery. So every attorney has to spend their resources. While Commissioner Sadiq, I could understand you're just new here, but as far as on the board and maybe, in perspective, you should have more time, but I would appreciate, really every member of the board supporting this motion by Commissioner Bearden because I think it's the right thing to do. The statute was wrong. I think your county attorney will tell you you have the discretion to do this vote today, one way or the other. You're settling a claim a little later on. It's just like any other suit that you have, or the liens that You've waived almost $1.8 million worth of liens, Commissioner Ron, in this past year. So if there's anything that sets a precedent, I think that sets a precedent for the action before the board. So I appreciate a favorable vote. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anyone on the phone that'd like to give public comment to this motion?
We have 3 callers on the line, first ending in 445.
Caller 445, can you please state your name, county residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Glenn Gibolina, for the record. I'm so pleased that the board is moving forward in this direction. But really, the issue goes back to the previous attorney that looked at this case and decided that, you know what, let's really send a message to the citizens of Manatee County that if you try to go up against us and we don't have the in-house staff, we're going to hire an outside staff, an outside firm to do it. Not one attorney, not 2 attorneys, not 3, 4, 5, 7 attorneys to go after a pro se litigant. If that isn't the epitome of bullying and trying to silence the citizens of this county by breaking them legally and financially, I don't know what is. So I applaud the board. Commissioner McKay, you exactly right. You have the legal authority to move forward, and this should have been dismissed a long time ago. And this should be a message to the new county attorney, is that you treat our citizens respect, and if it's a lawsuit that merits a lawsuit, then do that. But this certainly did not reach anywhere near that level of providing a lawsuit. Plus, he dismissed the case. He was just trying to do what was right for the citizens of our county to begin with. That was your job originally to do. It should have never been rescinded. Jason, thank you for bringing that back. And I'm glad we can bring some closure to this today and stop the lawfare against our citizens and taxpayers of this county. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next caller on the line.
Next caller ends in 454.
Caller 454, please state your name, county residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Charlene Gao, Manatee County. I'll reiterate the comments before me, but I also want to say that this statute that we're talking about is essentially what is called a SLAPP statute, SLAPP, Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. And it's designed to stifle free speech. You know, it's a dressed up way to basically crush the opposition using wealthy and powerful entities such as the government versus a private individual or a group of individuals who just don't have the money to face people down in court. And that's exactly what happened here. They took advantage of this, what is essentially a SLAPP statute, and we have now we're reversing course, which is the right thing to do, because citizens should always have the right to redress their government without going bankrupt for it. And so I urge you to not continue, because going on will incur only more legal fees. You know, as has been stated, there's going to be more discovery before going for this hearing, and you're going to rack up, you know, thousands, tens of thousands more dollars at, you know, God knows how much, how many hundreds of dollars an hour, and by 6 or 7 people. No, just you have the right as a board to settle any conflict, you know, at this time. You know, this is your right. You have basically a settlement offer. Take it, settle it some way, and get it out of here in a way that's fair to Mr. McClash. That will still allow him to have brought this suit, and in a way that it's being redressed in the way that he had hoped for. So settle it, get it out, and please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next call on the line.
Next is caller 443.
Caller 443, please state your name, county residence, and you have 3 minutes. Hello, caller.
Hi, it's Abby Turner. Hi, can you hear me?
Hello. All right, we can hear you.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, sorry, thank you. It's Abby Turner, Executive Director and Waterkeeper for Suncoast Waterkeeper. I would just like to read from the Florida statute, the 2024 statute number 163.3215, standing to enforce local comprehensive plans to development orders. This is the statute that says that you can seek attorney fees, so let me go ahead and read subsection C, it's 8C. So the prevailing party in a challenge to a development order filed under subsection 3 is entitled to recover reasonable attorney fees and costs incurred in challenging or defending the order, including reasonable appellate attorney fees and costs. So I just want to add emphasis to that it's entitled to, but it's not required to. So it's entitled to recover fees. It's not required to recover fees. So taking this issue to court was the crux of the issue. We shouldn't have to have taken it to court. Given that everybody is on the same page now, it would be great if you were not to penalize Joe McClash for acting on behalf of the citizens of Manatee County and those who voted. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other callers on the line?
None, Mr. Chair.
All right, are there anybody else in the audience like come forward and speak? Please state your name, county residence, sir, and you have 3 minutes.
Yeah, Tim Mays, Manatee County. I think, we're looking to trust this board here, and I think getting rid of these fees would be a good way to do it because, the sentiment from the county residents that I know and talk to, this was a shot across the bow. Don't do this. Don't question what we have, because I wasn't here for the final meeting. I was at the veterans' birthday party that time, but I did watch it later, and that meeting, it seemed like the board at that time was tone deaf to what the residents wanted, like many other meetings. I mean, it got to a point where I'd like to come down here and engage, but when every time we come down here and the board would continuously vote against the community, you want to stop coming down. I think it's time that we want to come down here, listen to you guys, and we want to trust you guys. So this is a good first chance right here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seeing no one else, I'll go ahead and close public comment on this motion. Motion's been moved by Commissioner Beard and seconded by Commissioner Cruz. We already called the question. You can't, you're done. All right, so everyone cast their votes at this time. And the motion carries 6-1. All right. I voted nay, or voted no. Regarding this motion, or Commissioner Bearden?
So I appreciate the commissioners voting in favor of this. Sometimes up here as commissioners, we need to look at whether or not to be fair or to be just, right? I heard a great statement from a very prominent man over the summer. And he said, if you have the choice to be fair or just, be just. Do what's morally right. And I believe today, with the favor of what these Board of County Commissioners did today, was a morally right thing to do. And I appreciate everybody doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right. Moving on to consent. Is there any public comment on any item that's on consent today? Anyone on the phone has a comment on consent? No?
We have one caller ending in 445.
All right, is there, speaker, please state your name, county residence, and you have 3 minutes. On a consent.
Glenn Giblina for the, yes, consent item.
Okay.
Glenn Giblina for the record. This would be on item 4, the LAURA agreement for Livable Manatee. As I look at this agreement, I say, well, any affordable housing is good. But this agreement says 17 units at 81% to 120. Now, there is no leeway on how they want to use those 17 units. They can go all 17 units to 120. That's in there. I would like to see either spelled out and say, okay, we have 17 units from 81 to 120. 7 of those units are going to be at 81%. 5 of those units will be at 100%, and 5 of those units will be at the 120. And we all know that the 120 is market rate anyways. So I just don't want the developers coming in saying it's affordable housing and doing nothing less than 120, getting the density bonus, having all the impact fees paid, and still getting market rate rents. There's a flaw in the law. I think it needs to be spelled out that a certain amount of units need to be at this percentage and this percentage and that. And quite frankly, I'm with George Cruz. Get rid of the 120. That's market rate. It should be 60 to 100 would be a more amicable way for the citizens to afford rent in this rental community. And 20 years, I think it should be 25 years. So that's my 2 cents on it. All affordable housing is good, but not when you get extra density and you keep it all at 120. That's really not benefiting anyone. We need to start spelling those incremental out as far as how many units are going to be at what percentage. And I don't see that in here. I think it's a flaw. I think it needs to be corrected and make it more equitable for the 80% and the 60% households, which is a tremendous amount of our blue-collar workers in this community, to give them a shot at those apartments and not at the 120 for all of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. If anyone else has any public or any comment on consent?
We have another caller ending in 454.
All right, caller 454, please state your name, county residence. You have 3 minutes.
Charlene Gao, Manatee County. I'm just looking at number 2. I don't complain about this in principle. It's just like, why is this here in a land use meeting? This is what I was talking about earlier, and I'm just drawing attention to it. Please don't put this stuff in land use. Put it in the regular meeting. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any callers on the line?
None, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing none in the audience, I'll go ahead and close public comment on consent. Are there any in consent agenda items that any of the commissioners would like to pull?
We already did that, but I'm on the board.
All right, Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, Glenn, this is how every LURA has been written, possibly forever, possibly in every town, including low-income housing tax credit gap. It's listed that way. It's 81 to 120. It's just like if you look at the like low-income housing, it goes from 40% to 60% and 61% to 80%. That's just how the ranges are. Yes, everyone's going to charge the high end. You can't incrementally dig down saying some are 81, some are at 85, some are 87. The logistical nightmare of management and documentation of that would drive people crazy. You can't do that. You never see that. Even in low-income housing tax credit, 4%, 9%, they'll do a 30%, a 60%, and 80%, but they don't do 80%, 82%, 83.5%. I mean, we're getting a little silly here. And just to clarify, at 120%, we changed this a couple years ago. I worked hard to change it because I agree with you. 120% is a bad bracket at this point in time. It doesn't do what we want it to do. The concession at the time, and I'm working on making additional adjustments in future conversations and work sessions up here, is that we got rid of the impact fee waiver at 120%. So your statement that they got density bonus and impact fees paid as a result of this 120% is not accurate relative to the LURA that's attached to this agenda. You only get your impact fees waived if you're sub 80% or below, of which none of these units are. So $0 of this is going to be waived. Since there's no financial benefit to them, that's how they get to the 20 years. If they got their impact fees waived, it would have been up substantially higher to 30 years or 50 years, depending on the impact.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz, for explaining that. All right, seeing there's no items to be removed from consent, I'll look for approval of the consent agenda. And the motion's been moved by Commissioner Sadiq, seconded by Commissioner Bowden. Way to go, first one. God, congratulations.
I'm on the board.
Oh, okay. Commissioner McCann.
Being a new commissioner and here today. On the consent for the development services, I want to pull items 3 and 5 because I want to actually review those and study those before we make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so, all right, so Commissioner McCann wants 3 and 5 pulled, all right? So we'll leave your motion up, but we will not vote on it at this time.
We'll need to amend the motion.
And we'll need to amend the motion, we will. All right. Commissioner McCann, you're on for number 3 and 5.
And I'll repeat that for 4, please.
What?
4 as well, thank you.
I'm sorry, can we back up procedurally?
Yes.
Yeah, because you didn't ask us.
Yeah.
We had a motion to approve the
Yes.
No, we
consent
didn't.
before any item was pulled.
We didn't
So
have a motion to
that
pull.
was seconded. Unless that's going to be withdrawn,
Okay, yes.
then we need to,
Oh,
if it can either be withdrawn, or we can vote on the motion and proceed.
okay. Commissioner Siddiq, would you like to withdraw your motion at this time?
I'll withdraw it.
All right. Commissioner Ballard, are you okay with that as the seconder?
I am.
Okay. Commissioner Cruz, you're on the board.
I just want to understand the clarification, because this could open up a different set of questions. Pulling it does, in the term of pulling a consent, does not take it off of the agenda for a future day. It just pulls it for discussion and presentation. If there's a question of pulling it for briefings and deeper review of it, because there's new commissioners on the board that need more time to assess it, then that's a different motion that would need to be made
Yeah.
to, I know it's not table, but similar to table
That would
these
be a
two.
motion to
Motion to
defer
defer.
the item.
Defer.
Correct.
So just for clarity.
Just clarifying whether or not you wanted pull for discussion, or the request was to defer it to a subsequent meeting.
You don't have to hold the button.
Yeah, just press it one time.
Press it once, make it red.
There you go.
Now you're-
Yes, my motion is to defer to another date. I want more time to, understand exactly what it is, so I ask that we defer this to another date.
Items 3 and 5.
Items 3 and 5, that's correct.
So
Yes.
And
Okay, so Commissioner.
is there a second?
Is there a second?
I gave him a second.
All right,
And-
there's been a motion made by Commissioner McCann to defer items 3 and 5. It was seconded by Commissioner Bearden. Being there's been a motion made, we do have to open up for public comment.
Yep.
So what I'll do is I'll take, is there any public comment on the motion to defer item 3? Item 3.
Let's do it one at a time.
Is there anyone on the line that would
One at a time.
discuss the deferment of item 3?
We have one caller ending in 454.
Caller 454. Please state your name, county residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Charlene Dow, Manatee County. I think it's a good idea to defer, and I think I could hear Commissioner Phelps asking for number 4 in there as well, so it probably needs an amendment to the motion so that her item can be in there as well, so that you can have more time to discuss and evaluate the information. Thanks.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Is there any other callers on the line for so deferment of item number 3?
3 and 5.
Well,
None, Mr. Chair.
They're 2 different issues, so
We're deferring them together.
you're deferring them together?
Yeah, the motion was for both, so it
Okay,
should be
all
on
right.
both.
All right, so
We'll do
is
yours.
there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak to the deferment of 3 and 5 as public comment? See none? Okay, Commissioner Bearden, you're on the board.
No, just the reason why I second, I think it's a fair assessment for them, just being fair to them so they can get some more information about their district, so I'll support. I know Commissioner Phelps is going to pull item number 4 as well, and I'll support that as well, so.
It's a second motion.
To defer. Commissioner Ballard, you're on the board.
I will also support the motion to defer. I want our new commissioners to feel comfortable and as though they have all the information they need to make decisions and not like they're being railroaded into something on their very first day.
Okay. Commissioner Siddiq, you're on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to thank staff for working with me to get those briefings on those items yesterday. Just to be clear, I'll follow your lead since it is your districts. But these are final plats, and I also just want to bring to attention, it's a little bit unfair for the applicants to be functionally at the final stage, for us to have the presumption of, well, just deny this. It's not going to happen. So happy to give you guys some time to just understand what the final plating is, but it is at the end. We've already gone through the whole process for land use and approval. So just wanted to make sure we're not costing applicants more time and staff as well and resources. As far as 5 is concerned, I mean, we'd love to see affordable housing. I appreciate Commissioner Cruz's comments, but if you'd like to pull it, certainly, or defer it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Knapp.
I was just looking to ask for clarity on what date they would like to defer it to, because we'll have to go back to the applicants who likely have closings scheduled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Ms. Knapp?
Are there options that you can present to the board in terms of dates?
Our next meeting is number 3 weeks.
No.
Correct.
I just
That's a
wanted
long
it on the
time.
record what the dates were.
All right, I'm on the board. Well, I agree that we need to have our new commissioners fully briefed and on every item that we see that comes up. This is a final plat. That means everything's done. Everything's finished, done. All they're doing is setting the legal descriptions for these individual lots within these subdivisions. So it's not really a land, it's not really where we're deciding if we're going to approve a land use issue, what X number of houses going into a project before it even gets to that point. This project is done. Both these projects, 3 and 4, are done. And now, if we defer this for 3 weeks, these applicants, I'm sure they have closings happening. And this is could impact them financially or delay closings with folks that want to buy a home or want to move into a home. For us to wait 3 weeks to get back on, at our next meeting was December 10th, I believe. 12th, sorry, the 12th. Yeah, right. And that's my only concern here, is that these are just basically final plats that really are just giving the opportunity for the applicants or the developer to have the individual lots set aside through their legal description. That's my comment. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, although you do have some points, Chairman Ron, in regards to, this today, we should have thought about this before we rescheduled this meeting on a Tuesday when we did swear-in, when this original land use meeting was on Thursday. So I just want to make it clear that this has nothing to do with the new commissioners that are on board. Honestly, they want to make sure that they're set up for success with the decisions that they need to make moving forward, and I want to make sure that they're set up for success as well, all the commissioners on this board moving forward when they need to make major decisions on this board. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, this is tough. Because things that aren't time sensitive, then 100%. I mean, that's why if you actually look down below development services, starting number 6, every single thing on here has been deferred because they weren't, and even those are to some extent time sensitive. Those are developers that are, and investors, in some cases, single family, little young, couples that have small parcel land that we're now making them carry their property for an additional month waiting for a deferral, in some cases 2 months. But it's not affected. The only issue with this is because it's a plat, and I'll go along with it because I want people to make sure they feel comfortable up here and they're getting information, but this is plats for homes where it's literally a family waiting to close on this lot, and they may have construction agreements set up ready to start building a house. They may have mortgage loans out there that 3 weeks from now are going to go away and could impact their ability to get financing. I mean, what impact does that have on us? I've been on this board for 4 years. I've probably approved a couple of 100 plats. Not once has a plat been pulled for discussion, much less denied. It's an administrative approval. We have within reason, no legal recourse to deny a plat at this stage. All these projects have come to Planning Commission, come to us, went through the application process, went through all their permitting process, finalized everything with staff. This is just hey, the state statute said you have to bless this, just like when a CDD comes in front of us. We don't really have a recourse to stop it. We're kind of administratively doing this blind because it's just a checkbox that we're required to check. I just want to make sure we're not being overly cautious on something like a plat, and in exchange, we're going to have 20 families that all lost their mortgages standing out front if mortgage rates go up 100 basis points in the next 3 weeks, and then start accusing the county of costing them financially because they were incapable of closing, or they lose their GC contracts that have timelines that they can honor, and the cost of building their home goes up because we delayed their ability to close on their lot by almost a month heading into the holiday season. I just, in my opinion, think the risk outweighs the reward of delaying something like a plat. If you want to delay the land use restriction agreement, again, it's in the context of what we have as a county anyway, but by all means, I don't think that's going to affect anyone's life. I just think delaying these plats, while I can appreciate the concept of why, I don't think we're going to result in anything on this board beyond approving it on the 10th, but we are going to have some potential risk and potentially put some citizens of Manatee County in harm's way relative to their financing and their homes.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Ballard.
So what I'm wondering, and I think that, you know, I'm very sensitive to the fact that these are brand-new commissioners who want to, they don't want to vote on things that they don't feel fully informed of and they don't feel that they understand. I'm also very sensitive to Commissioner Cruz's perspective. Is there a way that we can give these new commissioners the information that they need today? Can we recess and make sure that they are briefed in a way that they feel comfortable and then have this vote today? Or is this something that, you know, is a non-negotiable for two of our new commissioners? That's my thought.
Ms. Knapp.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We briefed the new commissioners yesterday and today, and if it's an opportunity, we're willing to step forward and answer any outstanding questions that weren't maybe addressed or thought of after. This is not just for closings. We also have, the plat is dedicating utility easements as well as private and public right-of-ways. So there's more than just closings here that are on the timeline.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so what can we do as a compromise is the question. And can we pull these items to the end and go through the whole agenda and vote, and then at the end, give them the opportunity, however long they need, recess, come back, however long they need to research this, whatever timeline that is, we give them that time, come back today, and then make the vote. Can we do that?
Legally, of course you can.
Okay. How does the board feel about that?
Well, I'm going to hear from, can we hear from Deputy County Administrator?
Yeah, Courtney DePaul, Deputy County Administrator. We can do a presentation. We do these just in case the question's asked. So I think that's what Nicole was referring to. But if you'd like, we could do the presentation and then at the end, take the break for briefings or whatever the board would like. But that way, at least you can see the formal presentation. That might clear up some questions, then we could also delay. Just food for thought. I've got staff here.
So would it be the will of the board on items, on item 3, and then we know Commissioner Feltz is on item 4, to move those to the end of the meeting and then have because everything else is going to be continued anyway, except for one item, item 11, to move that to the end, and we have one other item after that. It's the adoption of Resolution 212. Do we want to move that to these 3 items to the end, or what would you like to do, Mr. McCann, Commissioner McCann? 3 and 5 are yours. So would you want to have them do a presentation at the end on item number 3, item number 5 for you to make you more comfortable with that, or how would you like to move forward?
My preference is that they be deferred to another meeting.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right, so items 3 and 5, there's been a motion by Commissioner McCann to defer. We don't need a date specific, right?
To the next
Ms. Knapp.
available, which would be the 10th or the 12th of December.
Okay. The 12th is land use, 10th is BOCC.
Correct. Correct, so the 12th would be the preferred.
We should ask the motioner to specify a date.
Commissioner McCann, would you like the 10th or the 12th?
Whichever the land use meeting is, not the BOCC meeting.
That's the 12th, okay. All right, so there was some.
Does the seconder agree?
The seconder agree? Okay, all right. There's been a motion made by Commissioner McCann to defer items 3 and 5 to the next land use meeting on December 12th. I'd like to open this up for public comment. I didn't open it for public comment. Not. Yeah, I think I did. 3 and 5. Open up 3 and 5 for public comment. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name, county residence, and you have.
Yeah,
3
good
minutes.
afternoon. Taylor Faulkner, Manatee County, here with Blaylock Walters on behalf of the applicant for the LoRa. I would just like to reiterate Commissioner Cruz's comments. This is a standard form LoRa for the county. I know the applicant is in with final site plan. They're just waiting on approval for the LoRa to move forward with that. So if you're going to defer, the next possible meeting would be preferred, because I know they're just waiting on the LoRa to continue with final site plan. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, are there any callers on the phone regarding 3 and 5?
We have 2 callers on the line, first ending in 454.
Caller 454, please state your name and county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm
454?
sorry, I didn't realize my hand was up. Okay. No, I mean, yeah, I understand that there's some time sensitivity.
Ma'am,
with
can you
the,
please state your name and county of residence?
For the final. Oh, gosh, Charlene Gell, Manatee County. I understand there's some time sensitivity, but if there's any way you can just, I don't know, give them any kind of or means to get more information in a way that's accommodating and doesn't jeopardize anybody's closing, that'd be great. Thanks.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Any other comments regarding the deferment of items 3 and 5 to the next land use meeting, December 12th?
One more caller on the line, ending in 445.
Caller 445, please state your name, county of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Glenn Gibolina for the record. I have to tell you, this was so ill-conceived from the get-go. Rarely have we had a land use meeting on Tuesday. It's always Board of County Commission meetings on Tuesday. This should have never been on the agenda. It should have been on a land use meeting on the normal Thursdays that we've had them for years. As far as George comments about people losing their mortgage and so forth, we had 2 hurricanes in the last couple of months. You guys canceled meetings. What happened to that timeline on all these closings for the lot? I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. The new commissioners should have had ample time. And by the way, you want to brief them before they're signed in and before they're on the payroll? Who would do that? This should have been, you know what I think? I think that this was planned because you thought the old regime was going to come in and we were just going to rubber stamp all these through. Well, it didn't work out that way. You should have readjusted your timelines. You should have gave the new commissioners the opportunity to review them in a timely manner on a Thursday. And I thank Dr. McCarry for going to the next land use meeting where it should be, and trying to railroad this through on the same day that they get sworn in. It's supposed to be a festive time, not being ground down, telling them what they got to do, and we need to get this done, and people's lives are at stake, and blah, blah, blah. Ill-conceived, bad timing. Put it on a land use meeting on Thursdays and brief them when they're on the clock, not when they're not getting paid. Glenn Gadfly Gibolina. Thank you.
All right, is there are there any callers or anyone in the audience like to come forward on public comment on the deferred of items 3 and 5 to December 12th?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment. The motion was moved by Commissioner Sadiq, seconded by Commissioner Bearden. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Commissioner McCann moved the motion. Commissioner Bearden seconded it. I'm like Ron Burgundy, just reading from the teleprompter. Okay, the motion was made by Commissioner McCann, seconded by Commissioner Bearden. If everyone would cast their votes at this time. You are, oh, you are on the board, hang on. Well, Commissioner Cruz is on the board.
I'm just gonna take that one last, before we vote on it, I want to still ask that one more time. Is it possible to go on a recess and brief on these items? I do not think it's in our best interest to defer these, and I understand what Glenn's saying. First off, when I got sworn in 2020, we immediately went on the dais, and we were there until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We didn't even have a whole morning off. We all got briefed ahead of time, and we had a long meeting the day I got sworn in. That's just what happens. Last 2022, we did not because it was Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So that's why we did not, because staff's on recess. This is not an uncommon thing, and we deferred all land use. And honestly, half the plats we approve are on regular meetings. Plats are not by definition only on quote-unquote land use meetings. So, but before we vote, I do want to take that one last shot at, is there a way where we can just recess for 15, 20 minutes now, or push these to the end of the meeting and recess and come back and still try to get these done? And if after 15, 20 minutes of recess, they're still uncomfortableness, then we can vote on whether or not to defer it. But I'd at least like to have the opportunity to have Ms. Knapp and the county attorney sit with the new commissioners for a few minutes and explain what you know, how these plats and Laura's work, and try to get these things approved today for the sake of everybody involved. And if we can't, at least we gave it a shot to get them approved today, and then I will happily vote to defer these if we give it an opportunity where each new commissioner gets 10 minutes to try to get their concerns covered.
That would be my preference as well, just for the
Okay,
record.
but that's up to the motioner.
I stick with exactly what I say. I want to defer this.
All right, so,
I'm on the board.
all right, Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I'm hearing both sides, right? But we got to put ourselves in their seat if they feel comfortable, if, you know, they don't feel comfortable. I mean, in general, I mean, if you didn't feel comfortable by being in support of Commissioner Sadiq, you know, we got to have a little bit of grace here, you know, in my opinion. So I think it's in the best interest of the board to, you know, just have a little grace and, you know, have some patience. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sir, all right, any other comments by commissioners? Seeing none, the motion's been moved by Commissioner McCann, seconded by Commissioner Bearden. If anyone would to defer items 3 and 5 to the next land use meeting, which will be on December 12th, please cast your votes at this time. And the motion carries 5-2 with Commissioner Sadiq and myself as a no. All right, Commissioner Feltz, we pulled item 4 for you.
Same. Yes, please. I'd like to make a motion to pull item 4 from the consent agenda and defer.
Are you pulling it or are you deferring it?
She's deferring it.
Okay. So the motion would be the same as the last motion, Madam Clerk, to defer item 4 to the, is December 12th okay with you? To December 12th land use meeting. And, okay, there's been a, I'm waiting for this to come up on the board. Okay, there was a motion made by Commissioner Feltz. There was a second by Commissioner Beard. Now I'm going to open this item up for public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that can come forward and give public comment on the deferment of item 4 to December 12th land use meeting? So, is there anyone on the phone that would like to give public comment on item 4 to deferment to December 12th land use meeting?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. At this point, I'll go ahead and close public comment. The item was moved by Commissioner Feltz, second by Commissioner Bearden. If everyone would cast your votes at this time. And motion carries 5-2 with Commissioner Sadiq and myself as a no. All right, now I need to move on to approval of.
Consent.
Yeah, I need to move to the approval of consent. So we get a motion on the board for approval of consent.
Minus items.
Minus items 3, 4, and 5. You're too fast today.
I'll make that
Items 3, 4,
motion.
and 5.
I'll make the motion to
The
approve.
motion's been moved by Commissioner Ballard, seconded by Commissioner Bearden to approval of consent, minus items 3, 4, and 5. Everyone cast your votes at this time. Oh, yeah. Is there a public comment on consent, on approval?
We didn't do it already, did we?
Yeah, we did. I approved.
We did it?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yes, ma'am, I did.
Thank you, never mind. We're good.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, motion's been moved by Commissioner Ballard, seconded by Commissioner Bearden. If you cast your votes at this time. And the motion carries 7-0 on consent. All right, what I'd like to do right now is take about a 5-minute break so I can switch out of county attorneys. And we'll be back here at, say, 2:55. We stand at recess. Deputy County Attorney Shank up here now for land.
Got a quorum.
And we have a quorum. And Madam Clerk, could you please swear everybody in? If you're going to speak today on any item, please stand and be sworn in.
Anyone who will speak before the board under a public hearing, please swear or affirm that the factual statements and information you are about to present to the Board of County Commissioners is truthful and accurate. Thank you. When you step to the podium, please state your name, county of residence, and if you've been sworn.
Just to remind everyone, any quasi-item does not allow call-in, but we could take public comment from inside chambers. Ms. Knapp, as you see that most of these items are to be continued, but Ms. Knapp, can you read item 6 into the record, please?
Item number 6, ordinance 2490, Schroeder Manatee Ranch, Inc., Cypress Banks, DRI number 17. And this item is requested to be continued to January 9th, 2025.
Okay. Well, the motion's on the board to move this item to January 9th. Motion has been moved by Commissioner Ballard, seconded by Commissioner Siddiq. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to give any public comment on the request to continue? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on this item. I'll cast your votes at this time. And the motion to continue carries 7-0 on item 6. Ms. Knapp, can you read item number 8 into the record, please?
7?
7, okay. Oh, sorry, 7. Item 7, please.
Item number 7 is Z8630G, revision 17, Cypress Banks GDP amendment, Schroeder Manatee Ranch. This item, too, is being requested to be continued to January 9th, 2025.
Okay, there's been a motion on the board. Motion has been moved by Commissioner Ballard, seconded by Commissioner Siddiq. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to give public comment on the continuance of this item to January 9th? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. If you can cast your votes at this time. And the motion carries 7-0 on item number 7. Ms. Knapp, now can you read item number 8 into the record?
Item number 8, PDPI 1922 ZGR East County Facilities. And this item is being continued, a request to continue to December 12th, 2024.
Okay. All right, there's been a motion on the board. Moved by Commissioner Ballard, second by Commissioner Cruz. I'd like to open up for public comment on the continuation of item number 8. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. If you can cast your votes at this time. And the motion carries 7-0. The next item is legislative, so that there will be allowed for phone calls on this item. Ms. Knapp, can you read number 9 into the record, please?
Item number 9, LDCT 2404, Ordinance 2465. This is a county-initiated land development code text amendment, Chapter 10, General Cleanup. And this item is requested to be continued to December 12th, 2024.
Okay. There's a motion on the board moved by Commissioner Ballard, second by Commissioner McCann. I'd like to open up for public comment. We allow comment on the phone on legislative. Is there anyone on the phone who'd like to comment on item number 9?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Continuance. All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to comment on the continuation of item number 9 to December 12th? All right, seeing none, I'll close public comment. If everybody cast their votes at this time. And the motion carries 7-0. Ms. Knapp, number 10, please.
Item number 10, LDCT 2408, Ordinance number 2484, County-initiated land development code text amendment, earth moving revisions. And this item is requested to be continued to December 12th, 2024.
All right, thank you, ma'am. There's a motion on the board, moved by Commissioner Ballard, seconded by Commissioner McCann. As this is legislative, is there any calls that would want to comment, public comment on the continuation to December 12th of item 10?
No, at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone in the audience that come forward and give public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment on item number 10. And if you cast your votes at this time. And the item carries 7-0. Ms. Knapp, can you read item number 11 in to the record, please?
Item number 11, ZL 2329, Marker 37 Holdings LLC rezone. And this item too, while we were on our 5-minute recess, I received a letter in writing requesting for a continuance as the client could not be here today, to December 12th, 2024.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion for the continuance to,
December 12th, 2024.
okay, December 12th. We can get the motion up. Okay, motion's on the board, moved by Commissioner Siddiq. He beat out Commissioner Ballard for the first. The second is Commissioner Ballard. I'd like to open this item up, ma'am. I'd like to open this item up for public comment. In the room only, no phone calls allowed. So anyone in that room not to come forward and give public comment on item number 11, on the continuance of item number 11. Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and cast your votes at this time. The vote, and the motion carries 7-0. All right, we're going to switch out attorneys again. So I'm going to ask for your patience in another 5-minute. Madam Attorney, you're here? Okay, all right, then we'll just give a couple seconds. You still want 5 minutes? If we could recess till 3:06 for the attorneys to switch out. Thank you very much. We'll stand in recess to 3:06. Thank you very much for your patience with our short brief recess while we switched out county attorneys. Item number 15 is up next, and I'm going to flip it over to our county attorney. Madam Attorney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. With respect to item number 15, we have an amendment to the motion, to the action requested by the board, and I'll read that forward, and then I'll ask Ms. McClain to come forward and explain the motion. So the amended action that we're requesting is, I move to authorize the county attorney to remove page 6 of Resolution R-24-212, adopted by the board on November 12, 2024, and replace it with revised page 6 as furnished by the Chief Financial Officer to correct a Scrivener's error to the definition of interest payment date.
Second.
All right, Madam CFO. We get the motion. There's been a motion made by Commissioner Cruz and seconded by Commissioner Ballard. Madam CFO. You're not on. There you go.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners, County Attorney. So today's item, as the County Attorney has stated, this resolution, we're just making a revision to page 6 as it relates to the interest payment dates. In the original resolution, it was stated that it shall mean each May 1st and November 1st for the payments. But in order to keep it streamlined and along the lines of the other debt issuances as well, and to go along with the debt service schedule as it was written by the financial advisor and bond counsel, we need to make this small change into the interpretation of the dates in itself in the resolution.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, there's been a motion. The motion's been moved by Commissioner Cruz, second by Commissioner Ballard. I'd like to open this up for public comment. Is anyone on the phone like to give public comment to item 15?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Anyone in the audience like to come forward and give public comment on item 15? Seeing that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. If you can cast your votes at this time. And the item carries 7-0. Thank you, Madam Attorney. All right, next up is from Utilities, a hurricane debris response update, and we have Utilities Director Pat Shea. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Chair Ron and members of the Commission, County Attorney. Pat Shea, Utilities Director, here to give what should be a brief presentation and answer any questions the board may have related to our debris response. So there's going to be, and I'll be followed by CFO McClain after this. So I think, I don't know if we have the order backwards. This is CFO's presentation. I could give it, but that would be a lot less interesting if it came from me. So hopefully it's there. Before I get started and as the presentation gets loaded up, I just want to say, as we talk about volume and the number of trucks and financial impacts related to the hurricane, staff just likes to, is constantly reminded that these are people's belongings, people's property that we're talking about. So we're very respectful and understanding of the damage and devastation that resulted from not one, not two, but 3 hurricanes. So our solid waste team and several, if not every department within the county has been very instrumental in our debris response. So I'm gonna ad-lib a little bit as they're pulling it up. First off, I'd like to express appreciation and acknowledgement of our public safety group, our property management, public works, utilities, beach patrol, our finance department, as it relates first and foremost to our sand response. It was one of the first in teams after Hurricane Helene and saw many members of the board in that response and the the sand was absolutely amazing and in a devastating format. We had people that were born and raised here that couldn't recognize really where they were as we traveled through the island and saw the devastation. Best laid plans. All right, here we go. I think we found it. All right, so the utilities department made up of really 3 utilities, water, drinking water, wastewater, and solid waste. So our department oversees the debris response portion of solid waste. I'm joined today with Chris Collins, our deputy director over solid waste, that can provide comments or answer questions if I'm not able to answer those. First and foremost, and this will be more apparent as the presentation goes on, are the types of debris. So when we talk about debris types, it's very important that people that are residents, those affected, separate their debris. The same truck that a truck that goes down the street does not pick up multiple types of debris. So if they're dealing with vegetative, C&D, sand, white goods, vehicles and vessels, or hazardous waste, we get a lot of calls. Our debris hauler went down my block. Why didn't they stop and pick up my material? It's usually one of 3 things. 1, their truck was full. 2, the materials were mixed within on their property line, or it wasn't the right truck. So a truck going down the street to pick up vegetative debris is not going to pick up C&D debris. So that it's very important to look at that. Also, as we talk about our debris management sites, DMS sites, those are also permitted by the state for different types of debris. So not all debris is then commingled at our DMS sites. So talking about our DMS sites, I think the location map here is great, and hopefully it is helpful for the commissioners and also for the public, just to get a better understanding of where the debris is going. For the most part, most of the sand, if not all of the sand, is being handled at Coquina Beach, as you're aware. That is going in one of 2 places. We have a DMS site off-site, which is Hidden Harbor, or it's going back on the beach. So kudos to our natural resources staff helping that process along, so we make sure that the sand that can retains that beach quality remains at the beach and is able to be used in the location it was found, and the remaining debris is brought off site for hopefully future project use. So it will be a financial benefit to the county long term to be able to retain that debris. Really one of the bigger spots is that Post Road, Post Boulevard location, which is out in Lakewood Ranch, over by the Premier Sports Facility. Very, very grateful for landowners being able to offer that as an opportunity for us. Before storm season hits, we work with the Department of Emergency Management and other experts in hurricane response, and look at, just for a community, a county our size, how many acres of DMS sites should we have kind of planned for? So before the hurricane even starts, we start to identify these sites. We had about 1,000 acres kind of identified as potential DMS sites. Some of those we get permitted from DEM prior to the hurricane season started. Others, we just have the paperwork ready to go, and we're ready to submit those. Also appreciation and kudos to DEM for processing those very, very quickly. So as we try to stay agile, storm hits in a certain area where we find out the transportation from A to B is very convenient. For one of these DMS sites, we submit it to the state. State turns that around, in some cases as early as 12 hours, but usually within 24 hours, they'll give us the permission to use those sites. Just some good pictures. This is about 2 weeks old, so it gives you a little of an idea of the way things are looking. And how we're segregating the materials and how we're processing. So there's really the pickup at the residential curb, or the area where the hurricane affected the property. It's brought to one of the DMS sites. It's then broken down and then hauled off to its final disposal site. We're doing everything we can to keep the debris out of our landfill as a county asset. Our landfill is not a for-profit landfill. There are for-profit landfills across the state that are willing to take our debris. So we're trying our best, working with our debris haulers to bring that material off-site. One good way to learn more about debris, the debris response from the county, is to go to our website. And it's really just go to mymanatee.org/debris, and about halfway down the page is our debris dashboard. As you can see, just from this display, this was put together, I don't see the date, a while ago, about last Wednesday or so. We're at 1.3 or 1.6 million cubic yards. So a cubic yard is about the size of a dishwasher. So that gives you an idea of just the volume that we're talking about. I'll talk in comparison to some other storms what that volume really means. So these two storms were quite significant historical in debris response for the county. The blue dots kind of in the center are indicating where our pickups have gone. So these are where trucks have gone, picked up debris, and then moved them to our DMS sites, our debris sites. The color coding on there is really the schedule, so people can go on our website and see if you're kind of in our first pass, if we're currently working, if you're next on the schedule, and then substantially complete. So we're hoping to really get close to that first pass completed by Thanksgiving. We're working on a 90-day window, which would bring us to January 11th as kind of our target date to wrap up operations in this regard. Again, back to kind of a comparison, Irma and Ian, and then the days. I think we're at 36 days right now, October 14th till today. So as of the 13th of November, 31 days, we were at about 1.2. We surpassed 1.5 million cubic yards yesterday. There'll be a social media post and some language about that on some of the county's channels to announce that. We're at a little over 1.6 today, and we're getting about 50,000 cubic yards per day. But just gives you an idea of really the magnitude of not only the storms and the amount of debris, but the response. Our debris hauler is guesstimating we're going to probably end between 2.5 million and 3 million cubic yards total for this storm. So we're well over halfway, hopefully significantly over halfway. But you know, even just driving home yesterday from work, I noticed quite a difference. A lot of the roads that I was traveling to and from were cleared that weren't when I left in the morning. So they're getting a little less efficient because the debris is being more spread out, but they're able to respond to customer comments a lot quicker because now they're really needing that information if there's spots that we've missed. Florida, the state of Florida has a dashboard as well. So part of our effort is every day when we're doing our reports, we also submit a report to the state. So this gives you an idea of comparing us to Hillsborough County, really kind of the two, probably mostly affected, but just gives an idea of the magnitude of effort that everyone's going through. The one thing I'll talk about a little bit, I'll go back to this, is also on our website. We have a self-reporting tool. We plan on doing an outreach to everybody that has responded. They provide email addresses as they fill out that self-report tool to go back and verify that their material was picked up, and also, or if there's any changes. Sometimes it takes a second pass or a third pass. So if they've reported, we picked up, and then a few days later they put more material out, that would have been cleared from our dashboard. So we're gonna do some outreach to encourage people to go back in and re-report or update their reports as they go. So one of the questions we get asked a lot is the prioritization process. You know, why did you go to this neighborhood versus this street over there? So one of the things, just always looking at public safety. So one request that we got very early on is some of the routes that students will take to school, making sure that's clear. So young school-age kids aren't meandering out into the street to get to school because of debris being in the way. Public safety routes, making sure ambulance and fire and police, sheriff services are able to get to and from. areas that were hit hardest by Helene, we weren't quite finished with the Helene response when Milton hit. So a lot of C&D debris was with that, and then, of course, got saturated with rain and blown around a little bit. So that debris was out probably, of course, before the other debris would have even been a real thing. So I'll prioritize that. And then just efficiency and effectiveness. If you think about that post road going in further west into Braden, closer to the islands, those trucks can really make about 2 trips a day, to and from, 2 turns a day. So if they're able to get to and from relatively quick, then they might make a shorter route, hit somewhere a little bit nearer to the DMS site, because we really want to make sure they're working in daylight hours. They're not putting the trucks out when it's dark, that sort of thing. Again, I mentioned the self-reporting tool. You can see the zones. On the left is the little dots. Those indicate people that reported debris. So on the self-reporting tool, it gives you an opportunity, to describe your debris, the type, and then instruct people on how to separate and how to adjust that. So we're hoping that's a good tool for us to kind of start the final cleanup as we get closer to that point where we can double check and triple check those areas to make sure their debris is picked up. The dashboard on the right, that's again kind of the prioritization that kind of tells you where we are, where we're going, and areas that are already completed. Tipping fees were waived. That's coming to an end. That's also on the county's website. That's coming to an end. The end of this week. Try to get what day it is. Saturday. Is that correct? Friday. So tipping fees will be reinstated. So this is tipping fees were waived for county residents. They have to show ID when they bring it in. Right now, we're not experiencing a high traffic volume of that debris, and it's looking less and less, not to be accusatory, but it's looking less and less like hurricane debris and more like stuff that you would address as you're trying to clean out your garage or something similar. Residential debris sites, we have one on 66. We're also sunsetting that because of the lack of traffic that's going there. Again, on the 90-day FEMA reimbursement requirements, it's also very important to note that we have to get those sites cleaned up in that same period. So we need people not to procrastinate and wait till the last minute, get their debris handled as quickly as possible and move stuff forward. So final comments, again, I like to stress that it's very important that people separate their debris. Don't be too concerned if your neighbor was picked up and we didn't get to you. We will be back. There's a lot of avenues for you to report that. Let us know, but we're whether it's county staff is going kind of neighborhood by neighborhood, our debris haulers going neighborhood by neighborhood, and also our monitors also canvassing the county to make sure that all debris is picked up. It's really a coordinated and pretty fine-tuned effort to make sure. And then we'll make multiple passes. I mean, I think a lot of the hardest hit areas we've gone through 2-3 times just to make sure, because their space was limited on their curb lines, and they, once the trees were removed, then the C&D came out, and then once the C&D was done, then some of the white goods came out. So it's really a very coordinated effort. And with that, I can turn it over to Sheila, and if it's okay with the chair, we could do questions and answers as a wrap-up, or?
We'll just go for it right now.
Okay.
I have on the board Commissioner Sadiq.
Oh, thank you, Mr. O'Shea. First, I just want to thank all the county staff and your department for a quick response. I was on the island, but I was also in Bradenton, Palmetto, Rabonia, Terracea in the weeks after the devastation, and I know things are a little bit slow at the front end, but I really appreciate everyone getting together and clearing the debris. It's not just about the physical impact on our infrastructure, it's also the psychological, mental toll on families, seeing their houses, literally their whole lives on their sidewalks. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate the dates for first pass being complete by Thanksgiving. I think that'd be a good gift to our residents, just to not have to think about this heading into the holidays. And then the first pass wrapping up by the 11th. I did have a few quick questions for you. self-reporting, what does the data look like on that? Do we have enough residents using it? What do the numbers look like? You don't have to answer it now, but if you can provide that at some point, I'd be curious to see to learn about the efficacy of the self-reporting tool. I only say that because I think I still get emails about that, and so I try and steer people towards it, but just curious how that's been going.
Yeah, I'll put together a quantitative kind of look at that and send that to the commissioners for review.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Just help me better understand if we can improve communications and marketing around that or see how that's going. Other than that, do we have, people don't always, when I drive here to work, I cross state of Florida roads, property, across Manatee County, my district, and then city of Bradenton as well. People don't care where their boundaries lie. They just get that trash is picked up. Do we have interlocal agreements with city of Bradenton, city of Palmetto, the other cities in town as well to support them if they need that help?
Commissioner Sadiq, we do.
Okay.
And actually, the sand response has been a coordinated response with the county and with the cities. It's probably a very good example. We used interlocal agreements to make that work. We worked very closely with the city of Bradenton during and after the hurricane. We're sharing some of our DMS sites with some of our local players. Also, the state is dealing with a lot of their roads directly, and then once they're done, because they are county residents, then we're extending an offer to help them as well, as long as it fits within that 90 days. So the sand arrangement on the island is a very, very good example of that interlocal cooperation.
Got it. Thank you for that. Another question for you. Do we feel that the sites are sufficient? I'm just looking at the map and I see the Palmetto ones are right off some major state roads, so it looks like a strategically sound location. Bradenton, the island seem fine. But Palmetto I was a little bit concerned about because it looks like the closest one's Bud Road and Road. Parish is a little bit far out there. Did we feel that was sufficient? Do you think we could have more DMS sites up there to help not just my district, but two and others as well?
That's a great question. Working with the debris hauler, they really kind of reach out and let us know if it's not sufficient for the amount of debris, if that turn time is a little bit too long. So some of those sites on that map, we've really opened up in the last 3 weeks. So it really is kind of a moving target on what the truckloads are. One of the things that all the counties are struggling with is just labor, because it's the same labor force trying to work in all these counties. So sometimes the delays in certain areas are just based upon the number of trucks that we can get in that area, and a debris site is kind of the same. If the one ask is really no debris site DMS site is ever big enough.
Yeah.
They always want more room to make to make their turns. They want to be able to store all the materials, but segregated with enough area and that kind of thing. So the number of locations is sufficient. Maybe a bigger footprint would always be helpful.
Okay, understood. Thank you for that. And one last question, not to take up too much time, but I saw on one of the slides there was one project manager, at least for Ian. Is that the case for, I'll throw Debbie, Helene, and then Milton? Do we just have one PM handling all that, the debris collection? If so, was that sufficient?
In my opinion, I've been in Florida for 10 months, and everyone reminds me that 3 hurricanes of this magnitude is not a common thing. But we have a single project manager handling sand and a single project manager and their different firms handling the non-sand debris. It's going very, very well. There's always some hiccups as they go, and again, we're competing against the other counties that are also trying to struggle. The island itself, each city on the island had their own debris hauler and their own debris contract, so it's kind of a hybrid. But we've been very, very happy, and you see with our numbers compared to some of our other neighboring counties, we're doing quite well.
Got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Beard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pat, you guys have done a heck of a job. You and your team in picking up all this debris. I know it's a big task and it's a lot to manage, but you guys have done an amazing job. I have a few concerns that I'd like to talk to you about today. Knowing that we have been filling in our landfill how many expected years have we cut in our landfill? Because I know we were able to extend it by 15 years, but how many of, knowing that we've constantly been filling it, how many years have we cut on our landfill currently today?
I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Collins.
Okay.
And he can kind of spell out how we date our landfill and how we confirm those numbers.
Right.
Yeah, Chris Collins, Deputy Director. Every January, we do a life expectancy report on the landfill.
Okay.
It involves a flyover and calculations with our engineering consultant to determine lifespan of that landfill. And like you said, over the last couple of years, we were able to extend that life out to, I think, 2059 was the number we had about a year ago. So this coming January, we'll get a good feel for how much we actually lost in that number.
Okay.
I'm not thinking it's going to be massively significant, only because our debris haulers that we're contracted with now are hauling elsewhere.
Okay.
So the debris that's coming to our landfill is primarily these residents taking the debris themselves to our landfill or hiring a contractor to come over and pick up debris and take it to us. And we are seeing over the last 3 months, about a 3-month period since Debbie, Helene, and Milton, our tonnage has probably doubled in those 3 months. So if I had to take just a wild guess, I mean, maybe we lost a year.
Okay.
We'll know more of that in January,
Okay.
though.
Looking forward to hearing that in January. Next thing is, how many days left do we have for reimbursement?
90 days minus 36. So.
Okay. Do we think that we're going to be able to get all the debris picked up by then? And if not, after reimbursement days, what are we going to be expecting to have to pay to get the rest of it?
Commissioner Beard, my understand. So on the first question, yes, very confident. Barring any unforeseen circumstance that might occur, that we will get there. We're doing quite well, and that's kudos to Mr. Collins' staff and really all the county staff and our debris haulers are doing an excellent job. The tear down or the mobilization, the cleanup of those DMS sites might extend past that. And my understanding is that FEMA reimbursement, I think, goes to 80%, 75%, so close, goes to 75%. So there'll be a 25% hit kind of on our emergency response, which would be a solid waste obligation. So, but we will do everything we can to make sure that's not the case and get them demobilized as quickly as possible. And I will add, the counties have made a request into the state, and the state has made the request into FEMA to extend from 90 days to 180 days. I'm hearing it's just maybe unlikely that would be the case, that would get granted. But if that gets granted, then we'll be sitting a lot tighter in being able to get those DMS sites cleaned up.
Thank you, sir. All right. Are you done? You want to bring the CFO
Thank
up?
you.
Madam CFO.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm back again. So after the storm comes recovery. So we know that Helene hit us hard, Milton just hit us even more. But is the county prepared? Is the county has enough reserves? That's the question that you all have been asking yourselves. And that's what this presentation is trying to reflect. All right. We were approved under Helene for all the individual assistance and public, got all the categories A through G. Keep that in mind, that's very important because other counties did not. When Milton attacked us even more, we got even more a second step forward with the acknowledgement that we could be having expedited payments that could help us potentially to recover faster. The financial impact for both Helene and Milton. in each one, and I broke it down by category so that you can see the cost that each one is going to reflect into our financial, as a financial impact to the county. It's a total of $122 million. For Helene, after doing the preliminary damage assessment, and this is just after doing just an estimated preliminary assessment, we are not over in assessing how much more damage, because they're still doing the assessments and so forth. But for the most part, we have presented all these to the FEMA so that they can start evaluating how much would the expedited on this cost would be. So having said that, the total amount that we are expecting to receive from FEMA expedited, which that means expedited means that is within the 50% of the cost for Category A and Category B on emergency protective measures and debris, we would receive 50% upfront of the total cost. So right now is $33.9 million that we are expecting to receive as expedited payment. Those were submitted already to FEMA end of October and mid-November. $23 million is almost here. We are at, on the FEMA level of approval, they've already released the funds to the state. So we are at, this afternoon, I was told we were on level 6 from 7 levels of approval. So I expect that we would receive those dollars sometime this week or next week. The other important portion to say is that Manatee County was the first county in the state of Florida to receive obligated funds with expedited dollars for a total of $23 million at this point. Okay, so on the reserves and reimbursables, $88 million of that is going to be not our cost share, but it's going to be something that we have to work through with our reserves, as anything that is storm related is reimbursable. So we extract from the 121, the 33 that they potentially are going to get expedited, which is that 50%. The cost share is very important to remember, as my co-worker, my team member here, Mr. Patrick Shea, said there's a cost share to all of these categories. So for debris and emergency protective measures categories, there's a 100% cost share for the first 90 days, if we complete within the 90 days. Anything that does not get picked up or performed after the 90 days becomes cost share at 75-25, where 12.5% the state will cover, and then the rest of the 12.5 will be the county to absorb. I want to establish FEMA was here since day one, and FDEM with us. And this relationship alongside also Haggerty Consulting, which is a consulting company specialized in emergency disaster recovery, and with the relationships that they have built with FEMA and FDEM as well, we are going to be able to recover faster, because they will help us to analyze the data, accommodate the data, and submit all the reimbursement requests at a fast in a way that we will receive the reimbursement faster, rather than having to wait 2 years for reimbursement. Okay, and I want to recognize, I have here in the floor there was three members of Haggerty Consulting that the county brought forward. One was Melinda Velez. She's not here today, but we have Mike Notar. Did I say it right? And also one of our very own, Amanda Rowley, who is also our FEMA analyst, and they are working really hard so that these recovery efforts are seamless to the county and less painful. At this point, with the county, what we are trying to see is when I presented the budget, our reserves were very healthy. And because of that, and I've always said this, is that as us being part of a coastal community, our reserves are important to keep at a level that when a rainy day would come, we would be in a good place. That rainy day has come, and we are in a really good place. So with that said, the board, we have to discuss about, what are the efforts to kind of like look at how we can do to accommodate more conservatively our reserves so that we can weather the storm, no pun intended, but so that we can recover faster and with mitigating the impact of this into our reserves. And with that, this is the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions from the board of Madam CFO? Seeing none, thank you very
All
much,
right.
Madam CFO.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Shea. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Any county attorney comments, ma'am? Ms. Knapp, you have any comments?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, Commissioner Cruz, you have an agenda item, Board of County Commissioners meeting calendar. Yes, sir, you're on.
Sure. And this kind of got moved up a bit. So if you give me the flexibility of a couple extra minutes, I did a lot of research on this, and it's something I'd been talking about for a while, and now I have a board that wants to look ahead to doing things properly here, at least in my mind. Maybe people think differently. But this was supposed to be on December 10th, but in light of people trying to plan a lot of things ahead for next year and so forth, I kind of crammed it up to today a little more informally. Anyway, everyone keeps campaigning every 2 years on doing things more efficiently around here, saving taxpayers money, getting out more instead of sitting behind this dais endlessly. But then every 2 years, everyone gets on this board and just says, well, this is how it's always been done. We do the same thing over and over and over again. We're in a unique situation where everybody up here, to some extent myself included, is relatively new. Even a lot of the higher up staff is relatively new, at least in the positions they're in. This is an opportunity to go back to doing things I think are more efficient. So one of the things, and I'll bring up the rest in January, I think January 7th, we're supposed to have our strategy meeting, and I'll talk about some other thoughts I have relative to seeing things for 4 years. But one of them is our county meetings. And I just want to make sure we're all on the same page about what our schedule looks like compared to literally everybody else in the state of Florida, just to use taxpayer dollars to have endless meetings that tie up our time and staff's time. We are, with the exception of one meeting a month for Hillsborough, we're the only county that I can find in the state of Florida that has something called a land use meeting. Literally, people, when I tell other commissioners I missed a land use meeting, they look at me like I have two heads. Like they've never heard of this before in their entire life. So I started doing research. Most of the small counties have one meeting a month, but they're small counties. If you look at all these other counties, some of them bigger, Orange County is 1.5 million people, 2 board meetings a month combined, no land use, just 2 meetings. Pinellas County, 2 meetings a month. Lee County, Polk County, Pasco County, Sarasota County, Colliers, Levy, Lake, Marion, Charlotte, Citrus, Sumner, all counties near us or similar size, 2 meetings a month. No such thing as a land use meeting. They just have their regular stuff and their land use stuff. We don't have calls say, you can't put this on a land use meeting. They just have both meetings on the same day. It's just part of business. And by doing that, it allows us to get out in the public. It allows us to go do something more productively, because what you realize when you have this job is sitting behind this dais is like 5% of your actual job. The 95% is going out and talking to people and learning about the county to come back to do this job once you get up here. But we have these weekly things. If you look at our draft calendar for 2025, from January 1st through summer recess, there's only 2 weeks that we don't have a meeting. 2 out of the entire first half. And one of them's FAC, and the other one, we still have a council of governments and a work session. So we don't have free time to go out and speak to people and do things. And every meeting, we have to pay deputies, pay METV, have staff take their time out to brief us and to have these meetings, and nobody else has it. The closest I can find is Hillsborough has 3 meetings a month, 2 regular and 1 land use, but they're massive. They're much larger than us. And the only county in the state of Florida I can find that has 4 notice meetings a month is Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade, the single largest county with 2.7 million people, is the only county I can file with 4 meetings. And they have 13 commissioners, rarely have a full board because they have other things to do. And every commissioner has 1, 2, 3 of their own aides and their own district office just so they can be more efficient to account for how much time they have to be on the dais. I think this is ridiculous, so I looked at our average meetings. In 2024, this entire calendar year, our average regular Tuesday meeting lasted 2 hours and 54 minutes.
You're welcome.
Our average land use meeting for this entire year was only 2 hours and 49 minutes. And if you exclude the last 2 land use meetings that got the Kevin discount, where everyone kind of piled through the door to get in here before the old board left, it was only 2 hours and 21 minutes. Meaning, we're having these meetings every single week, and not one meeting on average lasts until lunch. There's no reason not to have both of these on the same day like every other county has. It's inexplicable to me. So what I was trying to propose is, why aren't we like everyone else? Why aren't we, now that we have a new board, stop saying this is how we've always done it. Give staff more time to do their job and not continuously brief us and sit here. Let us go out and do our job by going to meet people and be productive members of society for our residents, so sitting behind a dais. And my proposal was to direct staff, just essentially, it's easy. Just take off all those Thursday land use meetings for the 2025 draft calendar and bring that back December 10th to approve that calendar and have 2 meetings a month and do it. And if we find out partway through, we can always adjust it. If we realize, hey, this is getting a little overwhelmed, we can always have a Wednesday overflow. We can always add a day if we have to. But having these standing meetings, because applicants for land use are like goldfish. The bigger the bowl you put them in, the bigger they're going to grow. The more land use meetings we give people to fill up, they'll fill them up. So having these standing twice a month land use meetings are encouraging people to keep coming in front of us with this. It's encouraging things that, you know, like when I got here, we only had 1 land use meeting. And then at some point in time, it was, well, because then we said, hey, we should have a legislative day, and that was a half day. That started at 1:30. And then developers started saying, well, my text amendment thing is legislative, put that on that other day. And that got too busy. And then they're like, you're going to be there all day anyway. Now put my quasi-judicial one on there. And that's how we ended up with 2 land use meetings. All in the course of the last 4 years was people trying to get more applications in and this board being complicit to it instead of saying, no, 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 you have to go within the confines of our meeting. So that's what I put on this agenda, was for discussion purposes and moving forward to request that the staff just modify the 2025 calendar to bring back to us December 10th so we can discuss whether or not to approve going back to 2 meetings a month like every other county in the state of Florida.
Commissioner Cruz, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I'm on board with that. So what do we need to do? We need to direct staff, or do we, I don't think we don't need a motion. We just direct staff to.
Sure. So we could probably just direct staff to bring
Yeah,
back
we just direct staff to.
If we want a motion, because then that gives us time. The reason I didn't want to cram it on to finalize it, is maybe there's, you know, if people want to do their research, maybe we do it where it's, okay, we have time certains for the land use. I don't like time certains because that always sucks. We end up finishing the regular at 10 a.m. and then we sit around for 3 hours like today. But it's open for discussion. It's a discretion of the board. I just think we can accomplish everything we need to accomplish in a 450,000 person town in 2 meetings a month so we can get out and be more productive.
Commissioner Bearden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's funny you brought this up, Commissioner Cruz, because I just had this conversation with Courtney the other day in regard to how inefficient this is and how we need to become more efficient in regards to our meetings and, you know, how we're being briefed and everything. So I'm on board with this.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Ballard.
I agree. I think it could work quite well. You know, I think your description of how our meetings are lasting less than 3 hours on average, you know, it makes sense to have 2 6-hour meetings versus 4 3-hour meetings. It just makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner McCann.
I have to say that I agree also, you know. Commissioner Cruz and Commissioner Grahn agreed wholeheartedly 100%. So that has some meaning. I think that in looking at that right now, these are the senior people on the board, and, we need to take some direction from them in having these meetings, and I think it's very important that we become more efficient and, actually allow the staff to do more for us, so I'm in agreement with that also.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I would need a motion to just direct.
I think I'm on the board too, Mr. Chair.
Huh?
We have Commissioner Siddiq on the
Oh,
board.
I didn't see him on the board.
My bad, I did the wrong item, sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll defer to the more experienced commissioners on the board for a number of meetings. I like fewer meetings. I think less in terms of the amount of time we spend in and more in terms of the value we can get out of them, especially for our residents here. My request would be not just to focus on the number of meetings, but also to focus on some of the discipline behind the scenes for them. My observations as a resident have been, we cut off public comment online, typically that Friday before the Tuesday meeting or 24 hours before, I'll double check. But people can still, but we oftentimes make updates to the agenda items, which residents often experience as, hey, we're messing with the agendas. No, we're not. I understand behind the scenes why that happens, but I would like to see us, if we're going to commit to reducing the amount of meetings we're spending, I would also like to see us commit to ensuring we are allowing, or tightly controlling when items get introduced or updated on the agenda. I mean, if we can want to make minor updates like today's to the resolutions, I'm fine with that, but not necessarily adding a whole new item, which has come up in the past. So I'd just like to see a little bit more discipline around that, because oftentimes it can involve other constitutional offices on certain items. It can involve bringing more staff in. I don't know if someone's remote or someone is not or someone isn't. So just like to see us ensure that we kind of tightly control when items are introduced and or taken out. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, is there any other comment on Commissioner Cruz's request to update the County Commission's calendar going into 2025? I mean, Cheryl, I don't think we need a motion, do we? Or, I mean, or can we just direct staff,
The calendar is set by the board.
Yeah.
So this last calendar was set by the board at the November 7th meeting. So my recommendation would be if there's a desire of the board to change the calendar, that really should be a motion. And then Mr. Bishop, his team, all the development services folks who have to make sure that they have the timing right from a planning commission standpoint to the next meeting, I think they would want an opportunity to look at that and get those dates right. I'll defer to Ms. Knapp here. But I think we should give them the opportunity to bring you a calendar which they would recommend and would work from an operations standpoint and accomplish the board's objective, which is 2 meetings a month.
Thank you. Yeah, that's earlier in October, that's what we do. We bring a draft recommendation of how we think it should, based off the board's prerogative at that time of their preference, how the Tuesdays and Thursdays would work sessions, planning commission. So we'll do the same. We'll bring forward, based off the motion to direct staff, we'll bring forward 2 Tuesdays a month. I would like the opportunity to bring forward, if I could make a recommendation for you to at least consider and tell me how you want to go. It's very hard to add an overflow day for the event of a storm last minute based off everybody's busy calendar. It would be nice if we could add a potential overflow day in June and September and October to cover those and only use them in the event they are truly needed because of an overflow need. And again, that's for the board's desire.
And I'm okay with putting that as a place, because we all know June is very busy, because as you guys will see, it gets very busy because we go on a 5-week recess and everyone wants to get their stuff in and staff needs to get their stuff in. Same thing when you start getting into storms. So having placeholders isn't the end of the world if 2 months out of the year we have a third meeting.
Okay, so it's asterisk like a overflow day for one of those meetings.
Correct, and we can make a note where it's very clear to anybody reading the calendar too, that it is only at the discretion of the board when it's necessary.
Okay, all right. So Commissioner Cruz, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to modify the currently approved 2025 Board of County Commissioners calendar to remove 2 noticed meetings per month to, I don't know how you want me to word this. Yeah, and present it back to the board for approval on December 10th.
Second.
All right, she's working on bringing up Commissioner Cruz's motion. All right. Don't see it yet, but, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for a voice vote. We have a motion moved by Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Ballard to readjust the County Commission calendar for 2025 to reflect 2 meetings a month, and then in the summer months, annotate a day for an overflow. Is that basically your? Sure. Okay, I'm just trying to,
No, it sounds
I'm trying to get you on paper. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second, and all those, yes, ma'am, I need to open up for public comment. Is there anybody on the phone for public comment on this item?
We have one caller ending in 454.
Caller 454, please state your name and county residence. You have 3 minutes.
Charlene Gow, Manatee County. I think it's great that you guys are going to make the calendar a bit more efficient, and I'm hoping that, as Commissioner Sadiq has stated, that there'll be some more agenda discipline so that you don't have strange things coming up too late for public participation ahead of time. I mean, I think it's great, but at the same time, you know, yeah, we already spent a long time listening. Like, it's like 4 o'clock today, and I listened all day. So, it's fine. It's not so terrible to have a shorter meeting, but okay, fine. You're going to have 2 meetings. Great. It helps us to plan and have some more discipline, hopefully. But I also hope that this does not mean that you're going to have more activities out necessarily during the work, or too many more activities out during the workday, and neglect us folks that actually do work during the day and can only participate like after work in the evenings. Like, I'd love to see more town halls. I am a big fan of you guys having town halls and getting to film them for those people who are not able to make them. So I'd like to see, I hope that this freer calendar will free you up to have more engagement in the evening and not during the workday. And that's my comment here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to come forward and give public comment? County Administrator, would you like to say anything? All right. All right, I'll go ahead and close public comment. The motion's been moved by Commissioner Cruz. I think it was seconded by Commissioner Ballard, but it was Commissioner Ballard. Sorry, Commissioner Sadiq. You don't get anything extra for trying to second a motion. You don't get anything extra. So it's seconded by Commissioner Ballard. If everyone cast your votes at this time. And the motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Commissioner Cruz, for bringing that forward. We appreciate it. All right, is there any other commissioner comments from anyone? Seeing none? Thank you very much. We stay.
Weren't you supposed to talk about the dates or no?
No.
Excuse me. Yeah, I just wanted to share with the board, if I could.
I'll unadjourn real quick.
That on December 10th, at your regularly scheduled meeting, at the end of the meeting, there will be legislative priorities that will be discussed, as well as which will be a presentation, as well as a Land Use 101 presentation that then will allow for question and answers as well. And then moving forward into January, you have your EDC incentives coming towards you and strategic planning, just so if you're trying to track the topics that are coming very soon.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Knapp.
Thank you.
For that, giving that great information. Appreciate it. All right, are there any other comments by anybody? All right. We stand adjourned. Thank you very much, and thank you, new commissioners, for being here today, and old Commissioner Cruz.